Well, that was traumatizing. Hello everybody! I am Secret Agent P here once again to talk about The Last of Us TV show on HBO. Thank you HBO for this lovable show. Today we're going to talk about episode 3. Obviously there will be spoilers for The Last of Us show and thus The Last of Us game because they are very much one and the same kind of. But today's a bit different because today's episode deviated from the game. Kind of a lot actually, but it was for the better. So this episode starts us off with Joel and Ellie walking and they're just connecting. They just lost Tess. They do some bonding, Ellie asks some questions, and Joel basically confirms the theory that everyone's been thinking, which is the cordyceps spread through the flour. All through episode 1, flour was kind of... Joel and Sarah didn't eat the pancakes, Joel and Sarah didn't eat the biscuits, and Sarah didn't have any of the cookies at the neighbor's house. Who eats raisin cookies? Sarah, saved your life. Not eating raisin cookies saves your life. But Joel and Ellie kind of take a back seat for this episode because this episode is about Bill and Frank. So if you play the game, Joel and Ellie go to Bill to get a battery for a car, or to get a car in general. And Bill has an isolated town, which is pretty much him. And in the game it's shown that Bill had a boyfriend named Frank, except Frank was missing. And eventually they find out Frank got bit, so Frank hung himself and left Bill a suicide note. So this is where the deviation comes in, because this entire episode is showing us the backstory of Bill and Frank. It's completely different and I loved every minute of it. In 1 hour they showed us a beautiful tale of love and dashed it right away. God, I'm so mad. I'm so devastated. It was amazing to see actual gay representation on a big scale like this. This show has millions of viewers and it is a hit. So to have good representation like this is amazing. And if you're offended by that representation, move along. Go away. While there wasn't any real encounters with infected, it was fine because we got to see Bill go from this prepper, I hate everyone kind of person to meeting Frank. And Frank quickly deduces that Bill is gay. Now whether Frank was just using him at first or not, they were all each other had. Bill gave Frank a place to stay, while Frank gave Bill the humanity and acceptance that he was missing in his life. I deeply enjoyed watching Bill, who prepared for stuff like this, immediately go off and enact his plans for survival. He hits up Home Depot, he hits up a gas plant, and he has this all sorted out and he's ready. But he wasn't prepared to find love. And throughout the episode, we get to watch them fall in love in little ways. And we also see them fight. We see them have arguments. In the game, it's mentioned they have arguments, and Bill talks about Frank like they're an old married couple. That's because they kind of are. And to see this is great. The way Bill and Frank were introduced to Joel and Ellie seems a little forced, but whatever. And eventually it gets to 20 years later, to the present day. And now Frank's sick and in a wheelchair, and he's dying. It isn't exactly explained what illness he has. I've heard some people say it might be ALS. Doesn't matter. They even mentioned before the outbreak, there wasn't a cure for this anyway. So there's probably not going to be a cure now. They're both old. They're both over 50, maybe even 60 at this point. They've survived for 20 years together and they've had a beautiful life that they both enjoy. And it broke my heart to see Frank tell Bill that this is the last day that they will have together. Frank's decided he's gonna kill himself, but he requires Bill to do it. So they have one last nice day. They dress nice and they get married. There's no official ceremonies, but they marry each other and they have their own little ceremony. And they have one last dinner, reminiscent of their first dinner. Same wine and everything. And after Frank gulps his dosed wine that's gonna end his life, it's revealed Bill dosed the whole bottle. Bill's gonna go with him because life without Frank just isn't life anymore. It's so beautiful. No tears right now, no tears. They die in bed together. We don't see it, and that's for the best. The last thing we see of them is heading to bed happy, and it's beautiful that that's the memory we will have of them. When Joel and Ellie eventually come, they discover a note, but they never open the door. They leave them be. Joel and Ellie take what they need, and they head on their way. This episode didn't really add anything to Joel and Ellie's journey. but it showed us what The Last of Us is all about. The characters in their lives. It isn't about the journey, it's about the character progression. And if you haven't realized that yet, now it's time to realize it. Because next up is Pittsburgh, and it's gonna rip your heart out. But mine's on the floor in the corner. So I better go get it so I can watch next week's episode. See you later.